Yo, what is going on, guys? And welcome back to 365 Analytics. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of a quicker video. I know I said that a lot and it ends up being a little bit of a ramble, but a little bit of a quicker video, I'd hope. And we are just going to be going over a little bit of a preview and picks of the NBA Conference Finals. We are now down to four teams in the NBA, and it's a pretty interesting conference finals. One of the more interesting ones in recent history. So, yeah, we're gonna get right into it. If you guys do enjoy, please like, subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. We are trying to grow a channel. But enough of that. Let's get right into it. We're gonna start for the Western Conference Finals, which this series starts tomorrow. It is the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Minnesota Timberwolves coming in as the number 6 seed in the Western Conference versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, 68 wins, number 1 seed in the Western Conference. The story here: Anthony Edwards versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I assume SGA will be announced as the MVP very, very soon here in the next couple of days. He's obviously going to win the award. It's not pretty much not a debate at this point. But you have the Minnesota Timberwolves coming into Oklahoma City the first two games. This series starts tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern Time. And the Oklahoma City Thunder are favored to win this series by a wide, wide margin. Game one, Oklahoma City, as you can see here, favored by -7.5, -300 money line. I think it will still be a pretty good series. The Thunder, 68 wins, number 1 seed, obviously, just knocked off the Denver Nuggets in 7 games, an absolute game 7 killing, where they just beat the Denver Nuggets by 30, blew them out of the water, and advanced to the conference finals. This should be a good series. As you can see, season leaders here: Anthony Edwards, 27.6 points per game, SGA, 32.7 points per game. These two guys, two of the best in our league at this point now. Rudy Gobert versus Hartenstein and Chet, the big man that the Minnesota Timberwolves have, and Gobert versus the big man that the Thunder have, the duo of Hartenstein and Holmgren. The Minnesota Timberwolves, to get to this point, they beat the Lakers in 5, and they beat the Steph Curryless Warriors in 5 games. And the Thunder swept the Memphis Grizzlies and beats the Denver Nuggets in 7 games. Interesting thing to note: the Oklahoma City Thunder are playing 1 day rest in between games. They played yesterday, which is Sunday. Today, I am recording this on Monday. This will go up tomorrow before the game starts on Tuesday. 1 day rest in between. They start their series coming off a 7 game series. Minnesota Timberwolves have had about a week of rest now up to this point, so will be interesting to see. The favorite pick here is obviously the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I do think they're going to win the series. I am going to pick the Oklahoma City Thunder to win the series in 6 games, and I think they cruise through the Timberwolves and advance to the first NBA Finals the Thunder have advanced to since Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, when they lost to the Miami Heat of LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. Minnesota, if they were to win the NBA Finals, this would be their first finals win in their franchise's history. The Oklahoma City Thunder did win a finals, but it belongs to Seattle Supersonics. A lot of people consider that franchise won a final. I consider they won a final because it still belongs to that franchise, even though they've relocated to Oklahoma City and became the Thunder. But since they became the Thunder, they have not won an NBA championship. So they are looking to be and win their first championship now. So I'm going to pick the Oklahoma City Thunder in 6 games. I think they get past the Timberwolves and advance to the NBA Finals. And then we go over to the Eastern Conference Finals, the final series on the NBA on TNT. Sad, man. The NBA on TNT is what I have always remembered and what I always think of when I think of the National Basketball Association. When I think of the NBA, I think of Rockets, Warriors, Curry, Harden, NBA on TNT, Western Conference playoffs with Marv Albert on the call. That's what I think of when I think of the NBA. A lot of people, like a lot of the older gens, would think of Marv Albert with the NBA on NBC, which is actually returning next year. But when I think the NBA, I think of the NBA on TNT and Marv Albert calling games, man, because I'm sad it's leaving. Obviously, the Inside the NBA crew will be over on ESPN next year, so we're not losing them. But who knows if it's ever the same? Who knows if they include Stephen A. Smith on that show now? Because the ESPN loves Stephen A. Smith. So yeah, it's sad, man. And obviously, the final series on NBA on TNT, Pacers Knicks. Reggie Miller on the call too, which should be interesting. But Indiana and New York. Indiana coming in as the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. The New York Knicks coming in as the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. The Indiana Pacers, they beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 5, and they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in 5. And the New York Knicks, they beat the Detroit Pistons in 6 games and the Boston Celtics in 6 games. But here we are. We are either going to see the Indiana Pacers or the New York Knicks represent the Eastern Conference in June. I can't even believe it. It's surreal to me. The young guys of Halliburton versus Brunson, 2 guys that have absolutely emerged. Halliburton, drafted by the Sacramento Kings, played good there, was involved in the Domantas Sabonis trade, has since went to Indiana, became a perennial all-star and their franchise player. Jalen Brunson signs a deal with the New York Knicks in free agency from the Dallas Mavericks, turns into a bona fide number one and a top 15 player in the entire NBA. A lot of people would argue, and I agree with, the most clutch player in the NBA. You look at the season leaders here. New York Knicks are favored to win game one. Money line -185, -4.5. People are predicting the New York Knicks to win the series. It would be electric to see an NBA Finals in Madison Square Garden, so that would be fun. But you look at the games. Season leaders in points, Pascal Siakam, 20 points per game with the Indiana Pacers, and Jalen Brunson with the New York Knicks, obviously 26 points per game. The Duke can score. The rebounds will be interesting to see how the big men play it. Obviously, the New York Knicks, you look at Karl-Anthony Towns, obviously great rebounder. Mitchell Robinson, one of the best rebounders in the entire NBA. Then you look at the Pacers, Miles Turner, obviously been a very, very good center for a long time. He's been with the Pacers since the Paul George era, which is hard to believe that he's not even 30 years old yet. He's been with the Indiana Pacers since Paul George was in the yellow and blue. That's absolutely insane. And then you look at Pascal Siakam. Obviously, he has championship experience. He won with the Toronto Raptors. He's here again in the conference finals for the second straight year with the Indiana Pacers. It would be assists. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton, one of the better passers in the entire NBA versus Brunson. This should be a good series, fun series. 2 young teams. You look at Rick Carlisle versus Tom Thibodeau. They're two respected head coaches in the NBA, 2 older head coaches that have had playoff success before and won playoff series and done things, especially Rick Carlisle. And it should be interesting. Both teams relatively healthy, obviously, again. So, yeah, I mean, my prediction for the series, I think New York Knicks win it in 6. I could see it going 7. This could very well be a 7 game series. At this point, we have to start respecting the Indiana Pacers. They are no pushover. They've beat the Milwaukee Bucks led by Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they beat them in 5 games at that point. And then they went into Cleveland in a game where in a series where the Cleveland Cavaliers were the number 1 seed. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, 65 win Cleveland Cavaliers, and they beat them in 5 games. Absolutely blew the brakes off them, made people compare the Cavaliers of this age to the Atlanta Hawks with the Al Horford, Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, those Hawks. So a fraudulent 1 seed at that, but it's time we start respecting the Indiana Pacers and Rick Carlisle, one of the best head coaches in the league. And yeah, I'm gonna pick the New York Knicks in 6. Will not be surprised if this goes 7. I could also see the Indiana Pacers winning the series, but Madison Square Garden being your home field advantage, you're the first 2 games in MSG, the best home field advantage in the NBA. I don't particularly think it's close. So yeah, should be interesting. I'm gonna pick the Knicks, but should be a good series. So yeah, that's all I really gotta say about the conference finals matchups. Enjoy the matchups. We have the NBA on ESPN tomorrow. Minnesota Oklahoma City kicks off the conference finals and then alternates days basically. 1 game a night at this time of year. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. If you did, enjoy the video, please like, subscribe. That would all be greatly appreciated. And a little bit of quicker video today. Hope you guys enjoy. See y'all next time.